So we had some stuff about Savitribai Phule in school, like in primary school, in our history textbook. But that was, I think, very limited because, as you know, she was wife of Savitribai Phule, who himself was a big social reformer before independence India. And this Savitribai Phule, she's always looked at as Jyotiba Phule's wife when you look at the formal textbook or anything like that. But like when I read more afterwards, she herself also has done a lot because Jyotiba Phule died. I don't remember when, but even after that she kept working. She's the first literate woman, first literate Indian woman, and first woman teacher. And they started a school, and so basically it's very inspiring. Like there was I think leprosy or plague in India for like 4 or 5 years. So the areas affected by the disease. So she would go there and help people there when others wouldn't, because you get the infection. And so she got the infection through that, and like that's how she died. So like it's a very inspiring story. Oh, I like the fact that they named the university after Savitribai Phule. It's really good. They were based in Pune, Jyotiba Phule and Savitribai Phule, so it makes sense. So like when you say like analyze, maybe in like official formal level, maybe there is enough recognition of Savitribai Phule's work and her contribution. But if you look at like say students or like people who come to the university, not who work in the university but who are also part of the university, many people even in Pune still they don't know much about Savitribai Phule apart from, you know, really first woman teacher and like basic things. And like there are like more complicated things if you see, because both Savitribai Phule and Jyotiba Phule, they started in their house. So you know, in caste system, the lower castes are not allowed to drink water from the same well as everybody else in the village. So there were droughts, like no rain and no water in the well, so they wouldn't have any water. So these guys, they would give them water in their house, which doesn't sound like a great thing, but that time it was really a huge thing, because you can't even let the shadow of that person touch you, and you're inviting that person in your house and giving them water. They also started this thing in their house. They wrote a board that the pregnant widows can come here and give birth to their child and then go, because there was no widow remarriage at that time, and there were many young widows. And what would happen, there was sometimes they were raped inside the house by other men in their family, and they would be pregnant, and then when they were pregnant they were blamed that you went out and did something wrong. So they were blamed. So many of them would suicide or would just leave the child on the road. So they started a center where such widows could come and give birth to the child, or keep the kid there, or take it with them, or whatever. But it was a huge step, because it was recognition of the fact that women are being raped inside the house. It was a recognition of violence inside marriage, inside house, which legally in India we don't have marital rape even now. So that time, maybe 200 years back, it was a huge thing. So I don't think many people know the extent of their work. They just sort of symbols to like know, because like if you just see the extent of patriarchal practices in India, you will see that their work has not been, you know, understood enough by Indian society. It is expected to be differently treated for women. It's also like if you look at it ranges from very official things, like when a woman goes for job, they are asked like if you're gonna get married or gonna have kids, because many women in India, when they get married, they quit their career and they just stay at home and look after the house. So that's at the formal level, and it also very hegemonic. It sits down at many informal level. Like for example, I don't know, like in class when we, oh yeah, we have you been to the refectory here? So we have there's a line for boys, but there's no line for girls. So girls can just go and we don't have to stand in the line, and that's looked at as a good thing. But it's slightly insulting because it has like implications that you're a woman, you don't have to work so much, you cannot, you don't have the capacity to work so much, and there's this like chauvinistic protective attitude of men, and that's a good part of it. If I go, like, there's always, if you go out at night, there will always be some guys in the streets following you, or like whistling or something like that. So that's a bad part. So even the good part, when they're respecting you, it's also like slightly insulting because we recognize that you're weak and that's why we take care of you. It's that sort of a thing. And I think like many people don't recognize it as a patriarchal practice. They just practice it because they're taught it's good to be respectful of women. So I think that it's just so deep embedded in the society that women are treated differently, and it's so obvious fact that they are treated differently. So it's like for example, this question would never come to my mind, like, are they treated differently? It's a given fact for us that women are treated differently and they're supposed to be treated differently, and that's very problematic. There are so many issues. Firstly, you would say safety. Like even in the cities and also in villages, women can't go in public spaces by themselves. They're not supposed to. Like, even if you go, and you are an exception. So like in Mumbai, like last year, it's still going on. There was this movement called Why Loiter. So just women would go out like after 12 o'clock at the night and just sit in the street, not do anything, but just going out where you're not supposed to, claiming the public sphere. So like in India, it's a lot like women are supposed to be in private spaces. So whenever we like, even if you see outside spaces, for example, trains and buses, it's compartmentalized, it's divided. There are separate spaces for women and separate spaces for men. So even in a public space, women are like otherized. They are separated from the larger society. So okay, you don't have trains here, okay, but no, because in Mumbai we have trains, ladies compartment, and you usually go in that. But if you go in, say, general compartment, that's for gents, everybody's just like staring at you that you don't belong in that place. So that's one thing. Women are not safe outside the home, also inside the home, because like as I said, that most cases of sexual violence happen inside the house, especially like by stepfather or father or father-in-law or brother or something like that. And it's considered okay because like we had an example, if a man is beating women in the street, some like other people will gather to like, don't do that, that's gender violence. But if that man is that woman's father or brother, they would just go away because the woman is considered to be property of that man, and what happens inside the house between them does not concern the larger society, and that's where most of the human rights violations happen in this country. So like safety is the first issue. And this also, you have there are many places in India where having a girl child is bad. Like my aunt recently gave birth. Like I got a new baby sister. So when she was born, it was like, we didn't know that, but usually what happens, a woman gives birth and the doctor comes out and says like it's a boy or it's a girl. But like in last few years, there have been cases that if the doctor says it's a girl, family just doesn't accept it. They're like, you're lying, that's it's not possible that our daughter or daughter-in-law would give birth to a girl, like she's better than that, you're lying. And they just don't take that kid home. And there have been cases. So this time what the doctor did, like I wasn't there, my mom was there, she told me, they bring the child out the moment they take him out, like just not even cleaner, just covered in blood, and they show the child and like, what do you see, it's a boy or a girl? They make the relative say it, the husband or the father, like you say it's a girl. If they say it, the family sometimes refutes it. So like having a girl child, we had a lot of cases of female infanticide in North India. It's not that much now, but we have abortion laws because of that, because many people when they know the gender of the kid, they just abort it if it's a girl child. So the sex ratio was very skewed, and that's why like abortion is a big issue in India. So like it's you need to know that it's a society where girl child is not welcomed right from the birth. So you cannot pinpoint one issue. There are like whole lot of issues. Like it's just a place where you're not welcome. So like everywhere there are like challenges.